Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the October 10th board meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Today we will have the invocation led by Abigail Winslow from the Calvary Assembly Church of God in Kissimmee. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by R.B. Creech, Director of Transportation. The National Anthem will be led by the chorus team from Harmony High School. And our mission statement will be led by Michelle Perez, Principal of COA. We'll also have interpretation services by Ivoni Garcia from the Multicultural Department. I'd like to invite you, if you are able and you are wanting to participate in the invocation. Is Abigail here?
Let's bow our hearts. Precious Heavenly Father, we just come before you once again, Lord God, to honor you, the one true God who loves us, who created us. And Lord, I'm asking in Jesus' name that you would be with the board members, the superintendent, all of the staff, the teachers, the students that are presenting, and over everything that is going to be said and done here, in the name of Jesus Christ. Lord, I ask, Father, that the fear of the Lord would be upon everyone here, because that will cause us to hate evil, pride, arrogance, the sinful way, the perverse way, which you hate. And Lord God, I ask in Jesus' name that you would encourage those who are doing what is right in your sight. And Lord, you would discourage those who are not doing what is right in your sight. With that fear, oh God, it leads to wisdom, godly wisdom. And I ask that you would give this school board, our superintendent of Osceola County, wisdom from on high. Lord, you said when we ask for wisdom, because we lack it, you will give to us liberally. And that's what we need. I ask for every decision that they need to make, for every page they need to turn, that they would turn to you and bow their hearts to you, God of all wisdom. You are great and greatly to be praised. And Lord, I am asking, Father, as you see the wars all around the globe, especially in Israel, Lord, I pray for the hedge of protection for Israel, that nation, its citizenry, but also for our schools here and people and citizens in this Osceola County. We're asking, put a hedge of protection around our children. Lord, keep them safe, Lord God. You know that there is a devil and he is loose and doing much harm and danger. But I ask for protection. And I ask, Lord, also for a spirit of excellence amongst our students, that as the teachers teach, God, that our students would excel from A to Z, and that you would make the children of Osceola County the head and not the tail. And God, you would make them leaders, an example that others can follow. And Father, as I pray, I close with this from Numbers chapter 6, verse 24. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance on you and give you his shalom. In Jesus' name.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Oh my gosh, this is heavy.
say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, the free, and the home of the
Well done. You may be seated.
Let's turn the paper over.
Michelle Perez here.
Is that heavy?
Can we have some?
Thank you. Just putting it out there.
She's like, I will do the mission statement, but.
That's right. There are limits.
I got you, Michelle.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Our mission statement reads, inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Ivonne Garcia and I am here to provide interpretation services. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ivonne Garcia y estoy aquí para ofrecer servicios de interpretación.
Thank you very much. Board members, now is the time when we set the tone for our meeting, starting with positive comments. And this time I will go ahead and start with Dr. Chino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very quickly, I want to thank Mrs. Tate, the media specialist at Liberty High School, Mrs. Foster, and Mrs. Owens, the teachers in the VPK unit at Liberty High School. I had a blast with them. I was going to Liberty for another event, ended up being too late. And so I ended up getting to the media center and VPK was there. And I had the best time just sitting crisscross, which I haven't done in a while. It's a little difficult to get down and up, but we had a great time and they're doing a phenomenal job. And I got a really nice card from the class where all of the kids have spelled their name. And it's really awesome to see. So there's that. The other two things I want to quickly shout out, Dana Schaefer, Martha Mann, who led the meet and treats. Those are now completed, the first round. So I really want to thank Dana and Martha for a great job. Addition Financial sponsored those meet and treats. So I want to thank Addition Financial and all the high school principals that were forced to stay late and accommodate us. I know some of them are in here, so thank you. And lastly, our own Peter Thorne is a finalist for the 2024 Orby Award for IT leadership in an education organization. This is a very prestigious nomination, so congratulations, Mr. Thorne. That's all for me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Melendez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We may recognize him a little bit later, but we have 2 students in Osceola County that earned a perfect score on AP Spanish exams. So I'd like to give a round of applause to those 2 students. It's a nationwide exam, so it's not even a local exam, it's not a state exam, so the fact that they can earn a perfect score, I'd be curious to know how many people nationwide actually earned that distinction. So it's just amazing. I mean, I don't think I've done a perfect score on a state reference exam on anything. So the fact that you guys not only aced it, but literally perfected it, it was just amazing. I also want to congratulate Mr. Dave Sharma. You know, today we're going to be appointing a new design and construction director, but as we spoke about earlier, he was in that dual role, chief facilities officer and design and construction since February of earlier this year. You know, I want to thank you because it's not just having 2 positions, but 2 very busy positions. We're literally building 2 transportation depots. We have Knightsbridge. We just finished Celebration K8. We have Neo City being remodeled, St. Cloud High School being remodeled. I mean, we have a ton of work, and I hear nothing but good things about it, more or less, you know, getting on time and getting done. But anything that is not within his control. And so I do love the fact that Mr. Sharma, you stepped up, you know, very little complaints. You just come out here every day, you know, get prepared for the workshops. And so, even though we're appointing somebody to help alleviate your load a little bit, but I just want to publicly acknowledge you that, you know, that's really the leadership, you know, example that Dr. Shanoff does that says, hey, you know, you're at the top, you got to, you know, set that example and really lead the way. And so I really want to thank you for that. And then the last thing is I attended the Central Florida Association, School Board Association this afternoon or earlier this week, and they talked about there is a collective, you know, momentum to try to modify some of the state legislation that's coming out as far as education reforms. And so we spoke about it this afternoon as a workshop. And so just, you know, nothing, you know, our hands tied with the legislator. We're not exactly excited about them making all the changes that we want, but I do feel like there's an opportunity for us to improve, you know, some of the regulations that need to get that addressed. So with that, you know, just want to say good job and look forward to the new appointments that are on the slide today.
Thank you. Board Member Arguello?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to, first, let me thank the parents. I've had a lot of contacts with parents over the last couple of weeks about multiple issues. It feels like more community members are comfortable speaking out on their experience, educational experiences, now with this kind of the change in administration. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. It takes a lot of courage to come out and speak about your issues to anyone. Know that those issues essentially become public, and that's extremely important. That is, in fact, more important than the talent and the qualifications of the professionals who serve your families. Your ability to come and talk to us about it is even more important than that, because without knowing exactly the environment or what's going on, there's no way to improve a school district. And I think that we can all agree that there's a lot of room for improvement in all school districts across the country. So thank you to those parents who have come out. I want to also thank Dr. Green. Dr. Green hasn't been here forever. And I didn't want to thank Dr. Shanoff again. Kind of got on my nerves this week, but he's actually been a great superintendent. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to make sure that you were awake. But he's done a great job at bringing in great people that cannot be overstated. And Dr. Green is one of them. Today I quoted Napoleon. I said that, you know, if you have a team of dogs led by a lion, then all of those dogs will fight like lions. And if you have a dog who leads a group of lions, all those lions will die like dogs. And certainly, Dr. Green, as I said earlier, you are a lion. You are really good at your job. You've proven that multiple times. And not only are you good at it, but you do it with a level of composure and grace that I could learn a lot from. So thank you so much. I would give you the same kudos, because I know this has been a difficult week. It was a difficult 24 hours, I'll say. But and your grace and patience with me too, I truly appreciate it. Like I said, when I say that things haven't changed for me, I'm still on the end of fighting and questioning and so on. All of those things are still happening. But the manner in which they are received is transparent and professional and thorough. And you cannot, I mean, that's just a world apart. So thank you very much too. I won't mention you by name this time. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Cahoon?
Thank you, Chair. I want to highlight on September 29th, OHS and St. Cloud went head-to-head in the 100th-year rivalry game of the two schools. And as an OHS alum who celebrated her 20-year high school reunion that weekend, it was a really good time coming out and seeing what both schools were doing in honor of their former football players and cheerleaders and things like that. OHS even had, and I tried texting a few people today to find out, but one of the football players that came, the oldest one, I think he graduated like in the 40s from OHS. So he was there with his original jersey on and got to go out on the field. And so it was really great to see that. And just a lot of fun. And I do have to say, Mrs. Booth, that OHS did a pretty good job taking on St. Cloud High. So, go Cowboys. And in addition to that, I want to say today I was out at Celebration K-8 because the media specialist out there is a friend of mine, and she put a little shout out needing volunteers. So I spent my morning helping in the book fair, and it was really good to be with the students and just hearing them trying to decide what books they wanted to purchase, or if they're purchasing a poster over a pencil and things like that. But it was really good to see. And while I was out there, I also popped into the dual language classes because they were doing rotations in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. And it was amazing to see that teachers were decked out in all different attires from different countries. The kids were trying different foods and things like that. So it was really good to see those students really involving themselves in the cultures of those countries. So it was fun to be on the campuses for both of those events.
Thank you, Vice Chair Booth.
I'll have to lead. I just want to say, go Bulldogs. I always appreciate a great football game, and just actually more importantly, the community coming out and support and seeing past alumni come out. And it's awesome that we've got these programs together here, and it's wonderful. I just have a few quick things. Principal Doe from Hickory Tree Elementary School invited me out with her staff to the school, the Rock My School event. That was fantastic, so much fun. The kids were out there getting excited about learning, and actually ended up in one of the VE teachers' rooms and was able to see some of the students and interact, and it was awesome. So thank you, Principal Doe, for inviting me out to the school. Also, I was at Harmony High School. They had the National Honor Society event and initiated a bunch of students. So congratulations to all of those students. And again, I'm going to plug, there's so many clubs and activities that you can get involved in. And students, it doesn't have to be after school or before school. It's during school time too, especially lunchtime. So that's a great opportunity to get involved and engaged. I wanted to say congratulations to, again, to Dana Schaefer and your team. Also, I attended one of Dr. Shanoff's meet and treat events, and there's a lot of data. I can't wait to see what comes back from that. I know that we spent a lot of time just collecting data from staff and teachers and parents and some students too who were there. So I can't wait to hear what all that data looks like and where we can work to improve our school district and our successes too. And last but not least, I just attended this past week at the KBLS. There was the Florida Farm Bureau for Osceola County, their annual meeting, and the Harmony High School and Harmony Middle School FFA students served the entire meal. It was amazing. Those programs are doing fantastic things in leadership for kids, and so I look to potentially expand that in many of our schools in the county, so thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple things today. I have two presentations, but I'd like to start with some comments. So I attended the Osceola Prosper announcement at Celebration High School this past week, and I'm just so grateful for this opportunity for our students to be able to attend college, Valencia, or technical school. It's really just opening the doors and ensuring that all students have access to a great education. So I do want to publicly thank the Board of Commissions for providing our students with that and really being equal partners or great partners in the education of our students. I also attended the Young People's Concert, which is one of my favorite things to attend in the year. And again, speaking of equal access to opportunities, just seeing all the little ones be able to see the ballet and the orchestra and learn about science and math all in the same time and being so excited about that. And some of them were dressed up to the nines. I was like, yes, we love a ball gown. So it was just really great to participate in that, and I hope to continue that partnership and participating in that as well. And I also did not quite attend. I was invited to attend one of the graduations for one of our students that is in the DJJ. I wasn't able to attend because they moved the time, but I just wanted to recognize that student being able to graduate and kind of starting, back. Doesn't matter what happened before, just being excited about the future. And again, speaking about ensuring that all of our students have access to a great education. So with that, I do have two presentations. I'll go ahead and speak about them in the dais, and then I'll go ahead and present these awards. The first presentation that I have is for the Elementary Art Educator of the Year, right here from Osceola, and that is Miss Colleen Schmidt from Island Village Elementary School. So I have a certificate for you. I will go ahead and present it, but did you want to say anything about the experience or
Sure.
how you came to be the best of the best?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Colleen Schmidt. Since 2008, I've been a member of the Florida Art Education Association. It's been an amazing experience. At one time, I was the elementary director on their board. It's a fabulous conference, and not only can I thank my fellow educators in the district that I have a PLC with, but I have this wider PLC with art teachers from across the state. And it's an amazing experience. It was a 4-day conference. We get together. I usually teach a workshop. Other teachers teach workshops. We get to learn from each other, and it's just fantastic. I'm a lifelong learner, and I continue to grow every time I go to one of these conferences. But this year, actually a fellow member in West Palm Beach County, if I'm saying that county's name correctly, nominated me for the Art Educator of the Year award for the association, so a statewide award. And I just had to bring it and show it because it is a work of art.
Let's see it.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's gorgeous. Beautiful.
And as an advocate for arts, since I just was at the conference hearing about art avocation, there is one thing I would like the board to consider in kind of an increased support for visual arts. Counties around us, Orange County, Polk County, many other counties throughout the state, have a budget for their art teachers for supplies. It is a consumable subject. We can't teach it without supplies. And if you have 500 up to over 1,000 students in a week, you can't keep up with that. Most of us do fundraisers. We don't want to always be asking I know the principal has money. I don't want to always be asking the principal because there are other things they also need to fund. So other counties have, like, when I was in Polk County, I switched to this county in 2014. If they were at that time, $2 per student went into an art account in your school for the art teacher. Now, did it buy us everything? No, but it helped. We might still do fundraisers because art supplies are expensive. And on our 5th grade and other tests, on our tests is a section about clay, glaze, all of that stuff. We have kilns, which is a beautiful gift. I'm very grateful that we all have kilns to fire the clay in, but we can't do it without the product. So just asking you to consider maybe adopting that system to support visual arts. And thank you so much for taking the time to honor me, and I'm just really excited about everything.
Thank you, and
Thank you.
I'll hand this over to you in a second. There is a little gift there. It's not enough, of course, but maybe to help a little bit with that as well. And while we're at it, I also wanted to honor the students that Mr. Melendez already talked about, the AP Spanish Language Culture Exam perfect score students, and there was actually 4 of them. So it was Matias Edwards, Emmanuel Romero, Renata Cerron, and Angelucci and Maria Rodriguez. Each of those students received a perfect score, and they are from Celebration High School, Osceola High School, PATS, and Osceola School of the Arts. Are those students here? Great. So we can go ahead and do all the presentations at once. All right, so let me present this to Ms. Schmidt first. There you go. Oh. Yes. And I also have some gift cards for y'all as well. So Matias. Hi. Well done, Matias.
Thank you very much.
Bien hecho. There you go.
Thank you.
And Emmanuel, do we have somebody from PATS that can?
He's not here.
No problem. Just make sure PATS.
Please accept
Of
this on
course.
his behalf.
Thank you. We have Renata. Well done. Oops. Thank you. Do a little picture. Oh, I love those.
Thank you so much.
And Maria Rodriguez. Buen trabajo.
Congratulations.
Oh, I think there's one more. Okay. She's like, I'm done. Thank you. I'm finished. Board, thank you for allowing me to do that. I know it was a long presentation today, but we can move on to more presentations. So who do we have next?
We have a student from St. Cloud High School. Not again.
You know you have to put that back, right?
Who put it back? I have words.
Hello. Yeah, I'd start. Let's
I stand here waiting for you to make the song, to crash the critics saying, is it right or is it wrong? If only fame hidden I'd be, baby, could I bear being away from you? I firmly put it in here. I live for the applause, applause, applause. I live for the applause, applause, live for the applause, applause, live for the way that you cheer and speak for me. The applause, applause, applause. Give me the reason to love, turn the lights on, put your hands up, make them turn, and you're alone. Give me the reason to love, turn the lights on, put your hands up, make them turn, and you're alone.
And thank you so much for that. We also have the approval of the proclamation for National Domestic Violence Awareness. Dr. Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Superintendent, and Board. Among other worthy observances in the month of October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month has been recognized since 1987. To lead in the proclamation to help with the consideration of your approval is Ms. Christina Montalvo. She is the Primary Prevention Specialist of Help Now of Osceola County.
Hello, everyone. A little tall. I'm actually going to invite Tammy Douglas, our executive director, up. She would like to say a few words.
Good evening. We are certainly honored to be here with you this evening and grateful for the opportunity to spread awareness about domestic violence and how it impacts families, all of the families that we're here to care for, to educate as part of our community. Help Now's mission is safety, empowerment, and healing for survivors, but also to bring the community together to say no more to violence and to build a stronger, safer community for our children to grow up in. So thank you for this opportunity. We also know that Christina does an amazing job. We're grateful to have her here with us this afternoon to share this proclamation and really understand how kids are impacted by violence in their homes. Thank you so much.
All right, for those who don't know, also thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Welcome, Doctor, to the school district of Osceola. This is my hometown. I have lived here all my life. I went to elementary school at Rossi Jeffries and graduated from St. Cloud High School. Sorry, Heather. Go Dogs. So last year and over the course of the past couple of years, I've been able to work with Help Now. We have reached over 6,000 students in Osceola County with our Expect Respect curriculum that we have. It's all evidence-based and it is still growing. It's one of those things that we have been able to reach with students and teach them about the red flags of a toxic relationship, not just a romantic relationship, but with their friends and their family as well. We have been able to reach that many students because of the wonderful professionals that we have in this district, all of the teachers that are so supportive of us, and we want to just thank them so much for that as well. All right, so now we will get to the proclamation. All right, whereas between 3.3 million and 10 million children in the United States live in a household where domestic violence is present. And whereas domestic violence in a childhood is directly connected with learning difficulties, lowering IQ scores, deficiencies in visual and motor skills, and problems with attention, memory, insomnia, irritability, distractibility, and truancy. And whereas studies have shown that school-age children who witness violence display a wide range of problem behaviors including depression, anxiety, violence towards peers, and
whereas teen dating violence can increase the risk of later substance use, mental health problems, sexual risk behaviors, teen pregnancy, suicide, weight control, and ongoing difficulties with intimate partner relationships. And whereas by providing young people with education about healthy relationships and relationship skills, and by changing attitudes that support violence, we recognize that dating violence can be prevented. And now, therefore, we, the Osceola County School Board, do hereby proclaim the October 2023 as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month and call upon the citizens of our community to join us in working towards the elimination of personal and institutional violence against all persons. May I approach you and give you a ribbon to show your awareness?
Yes. Let's approve. Motion to approve. Have a motion by Board Member Cahoon and a second by Board Member Arguello. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Now, you can approach. Thank you.
I'll help you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It's such an important month. We'd also like to invite Carmen Velez from the Transportation Department for another proclamation.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Superintendent, Board Member, staff. Obviously, I'm not Carmen, but I am the Transportation Director. Carmen does work with us. She's one of our extraordinary bus driver trainers. And tonight she's a little nervous, but we're here tonight to bring awareness to National School Bus Safety Week, which is held the 16th through the 20th. It's an annual event. And I think we might even have a little video back there, maybe? No? Maybe just make it. Okay. Yeah, there it is.
It's important because, you know, the kids We have to make sure that they're safe, going back and forth from school, as well as trying to protect them, from any incidents or accidents or anything, Lord, that would harm them in any way, shape, or form.
Safety is really of most important when it comes to kids crossing the street, crossing through buses. I mean, if they hit one of these kids, the consequences is going to be a lot worse than them thinking they could get away with the fact of just running through a stop sign.
And it's scary because that could be their child, or that could be my child, and they're running through that stop sign. And that needs to really need to be corrected. Something I do every day, I make sure that they're sitting down. I make sure that I stop the way I'm supposed to stop, and that there's safety around us, that I'm able to keep driving and make sure they make it from point A to point B.
We do a pre-trip, so we go all around the bus to make sure everything is working properly and for their safety.
When I have my ambers on, they flashing, and I know that I'm gonna get ready to stop, I don't automatically put the stop sign right away. I don't. I kind of like wait. If I see this car that's coming right away and he's not slowing down, I'll wait. Once he passes through, that's when I bring out my stop sign. Because I know now the next one is gonna stop. And I know this guy's coming, or this lady, or whoever's coming, I know they're not gonna stop, so I'll just wait and let them go first. And then I'll put my stop sign on.
Good evening. Osceola County School Board Proclamation. Whereas every year the nation's 480,000 public school buses travel more than 6.2 billion miles to transport over 26 million students, more than half of America's school children to and from school, and school-related activities. And whereas Osceola School District's excellent safety record in transporting students to school each day on school buses has been achieved and must be maintained. And whereas school bus transportation is one of the safest forms of transportation in the United States, and school buses comprise the country's largest mass transportation fleet. And whereas school buses meet higher construction, equipment, and inspection standards than any other vehicle, and school bus drivers meet higher qualification, training, testing, and standard than any other drivers. Whereas the theme of this year's National Bus Safety Week is beep beep, school bus safety starts with me. And whereas motorists must remember to stop when a school bus has stopped and has its stop arm extended and red lights flashing. And whereas activities during a school bus safety week and throughout the year provide evidence of Osceola School District's commitment to ensure the health and safety of school children who ride school buses, as well as the students that walk, bicycle, or ride in cars to school. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Osceola School Board does hereby proclaim October 16 through 20, 2023 as National School Bus Safety Week.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second. I have a motion by Board Member Arguello and a second by Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Well done. The next presentation that we have is the declaration of National Principals Month. And that will be by Kelly Roman, Principal of PACS, and Michelle Perez, Principal at COA.
ahead.
The proclamation for National Principals Month. Whereas the School Board of Osceola County, Florida honors and recognizes principals for their positive impact on learning by setting high standards for instruction, achievement, character, and a positive school culture. And
whereas SDOC principals are responsible for the daily operation of their schools, which includes supporting and overseeing the effective implementation of academic and social and emotional learning, building meaningful relationships with students, families, teachers, community partners, and others, and fostering a student-centered school culture. And
whereas principals serve as the educational leader of their schools, demonstrating knowledge of effective instructional strategies and fulfilling the learning and developmental needs of students, teachers, and staff. And
whereas principals work diligently to create a positive school climate that is inviting to students, families, and the community, and provide a safe and supportive environment where students, teachers, and staff learn, grow, and achieve.
Now, therefore, the School Board of Osceola County, Florida does hereby proclaim October 2023 as National Principals Month in School District of Osceola County and encourages local citizens to honor and recognize the contributions of our school principals who ensure every student has a promising and successful future.
Motion by Board Member Arguello, second by Board Member Caitlin. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Dr. Shanoff, I'll turn it over to you for appointments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to recommend Brian Barton to be our next Director of Design and Construction. Brian Barton has held the following positions: Operations and Facilities Coordinator for the University Athletic Association for the University of Florida, go Gators. Associate Director of the University Athletic Association for the University of Florida, Director of Facilities for the University Athletic Association for the University of Florida, and Associate Athletics Director, Senior Associate Athletics Director of UCF Athletics Association, go Knights. He received his bachelor's and master's degrees in exercise and sports science from the University of Florida.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Booth, second by Board Member Arguello. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to the board for entrusting me with this unique and important opportunity, and I look forward to serving the community and doing it. I'd also like to take a quick moment to thank the Regional Search Committee, who I believe most of the members I've gotten a chance to see tonight. I don't know if they're all here, but I really appreciate them taking the time to vet me and work through this process with me. Obviously, Dr. Shanoff and Dave for putting me forward tonight, giving me the opportunity to be in front of you all. And then a special thanks to Drinda and to Dr. Green for all of their patience and working through me learning the K-12 system with me. So thank you all again for this opportunity. I look forward to working with each of you.
Congratulations, welcome. Thank you, Board. Now is the time that we will do the agenda modifications. Moment of privilege. I'd like to start by asking to move the attorney's comments over to immediately after agenda modifications. And I will move on to Dr. Shanoff. Any modifications for you?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Melendez?
No, nothing.
Thank you. Board Member Arguello?
7.02, 9.08, 11.02.
Thank you. Vice Chair Booth?
Also 7.02 and 9.01.
Thank you. Board Member Cahoon?
11.03 and 13.03.
Thank you. So we're asking for an approval of the agenda as submitted. I'll repeat the modifications. 1701, all attorneys' comments. 7.02, 9.08, 11.02. We already have 7.02. 9.01, 11.03, and 13.03. Did I get everything? Yes, motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
A Thank you. I have a motion by Board Member Cahoon, a second by Board Member Melendez. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. We'll move on to 17.01. Mr. Krockenbacher, before you go on to your comments and recommendations, I do have a person from the community who wants to speak on this. Jeremy Fetzer, if you can please state your name as well as your address before your comments. You have 3 minutes.
Jeremy Fetzer, 19 Broadway, Kissimmee, Florida, 34741. Good evening, Board. I'm here to speak on agenda item 1701, contract for a new school district attorney. I'm concerned with some of the details in the specific contract as this was written once again with no regard for protecting taxpayers. First, the base salary of $200,000 annually seems adequate until you read the details of Section 2 of the contract, which allows for the use of outside counsel on a wide variety of work. If taxpayers are paying this large base salary, the use of outside counsel should be limited due to this issue. If taxpayers funding this amount, our school district attorney should be able to handle the majority of the legal issues facing the school district. Additionally, Section 4.4, $2,000 for transition expenses to become school board attorney with no description of what these costs are for. Section 5.1, earning 2 days a month vacation totaling 24 days annually with an addition of 12 government holidays and no cap of carryover days. Again, does not benefit taxpayers and conservative fiscal management policies. 8.1 is the most at issue. Termination without cause requires a 4-1 supermajority vote, which is a no-go. As with most contracts, a simple majority should be required to terminate. Add in the severance of 20 weeks of base pay, which is the roughly $77,000 immediate payout, plus reimbursement of any unused vacation and sick time is excessive. Again, remember, there is no uncapped rollover vacation and sick days in this contract. In closing, this contract has nothing to do with the person, but the substance of the contract. It was not written in a manner to protect taxpayers and has zero conservative fiscal management practices. I urge this board to table this item to amend the aforementioned items to ensure that taxpayers are protected. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Krockenbacher?
Yes, the board has in front of it the contract for the new general counsel, Sarah Cord, who's here tonight. I am recommending the contract. It is competitive with the market. It has standard language and lots of sections, and I will speak to the issue of there are very few lawyers who have had the breadth of experience I've had. I can just tell you that. We have very, very complex, specialized work. You can't expect one lawyer to know it. That's why I recommend it in-house and to begin to build a department where it financially makes sense. But you have exceptional education, which candidly could occupy all day, every day, one lawyer. You have real estate, right? You have issues every day, principals calling, we're being asked questions, can parents do this, can they do that? There is no one person that's out there today that I know can field all of that. I take great comfort and pride in telling you, you have a very, very fine person that you've chosen. She will properly manage it and look out for the taxpayers and for the board. And therefore, the recommendation is in front of you to approve the contract.
Motion to approve. I will second that motion, but we do have 2 board members that have comments, so I will recognize them. Mr. Melendez, you are first, and Board Member Arguello, you are second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do want to acknowledge the public's concern about, is this a little maybe excessive here and there? But one thing I will say that I did do some homework, and we had a discussion of whether or not we're going to have outside counsel or somebody in-house. And then I spoke to a couple of law firms, and they were interested in doing it, but not interested in doing it in-house. So that is actually another scenario where in order to convince somebody, so in other words, the outside counsel wanted those funds, but be able to do their own business and make money with other clients. For somebody to give up that practice that has the ability to do everything, you have to pay them a premium, unfortunately. So in that part, I was kind of like torn in between 2 things. So if we want to have somebody in-house that has as many skill sets as Sarah does, and when I did the interviews, she was phenomenal. I mean, she was definitely the best person that was there. She has some ESE background, she has education certifications. She's able to kind of give us a strategic plan of what that looks like, how much stuff can she take on versus go out. And so, you know, even though I'm not excited about paying a little bit extra, but the reality is that is the marketplace. And like I said, I confirmed it because outside counsel, people are quick to get $200,000 as a retainer, but not give up their practice and work full-time for the school district. And so that's just a reality. I just wanted her to be out there in public and say that I support her. You know, she's definitely the best person for the position that we interviewed, and I'm honored to have her, you know, work for the school district as soon as possible.
Thank you for your comments. Board Member Arguello?
Yeah, the hurry in which this district does everything is mind-boggling to me. It seems like we're so willing to throw away our responsibility. But let me preface what I'm about to say. I'm going to go through this contract with, I agree, this was the best attorney. I'm very comfortable with the skill set, with the experience, with this attorney in general. I'm not saying that I would have picked a different attorney. I think this is a very good one. I completely disagree on the salary. I'm not saying that this is like an egregious amount or anything, but we have an attorney right now who gets paid less than this amount, and we don't provide him with benefits. Now we're bringing an in-house employee, and now we have to include benefits. This is a very large increase, and people should be aware of that. To say that they're the same or to make them similar compared, these are not. Including benefits and everything, I'm not even sure what this contract would be worth, but I know it's north of $250,000. So this would be about a $70,000 increase from the attorney that we have now. Are we getting more experience than the attorney that we have now? No. He's been a lawyer since 1931, I think. So this is in terms of experience, you're not getting apples to apples, right? Not saying that she's not better, but certainly it's not the same. But it is a very large increase, number one. 2.12, we don't have staff. And when we had the conversations about bringing in-house staff, it was an in-house attorney. It wasn't about staff. It was about switching Frank's role to in-house, right? It wasn't about bringing a whole bunch of lawyers and creating a department. That wasn't the idea. Strategically, I don't think that that's a good idea. That is a gigantic shift. Now you're talking about a $70,000 increase to now an increase which is going to be several hundreds of thousands of dollars in total when you're done building this department. It's already doubled in size probably. So now we are going to continue to increase it. I don't think that that's a good idea. The goal, at least the goal for me, was not for the attorney to build a legal empire within our district. We've already added a ton of top-level leadership, and now we're adding more. I do not think that that is fiscally responsible in the least. I also, in that last sentence of 2.12, the reasonably denied. This is basically removing. So, generally speaking, the citizens are in control of the policies of the district. I know the board doesn't like to hear that, but it's the citizens. We answer to the citizens. We are their secretaries. We're executing their will of the citizens, just like Dr. Shanoff executes the will of the board here. So to not be able to have control over the recommendations reasonably, now we can argue about what reasonably is, but I guarantee you, especially with this board, the attorney is always going to win that fight. There's no one on this board equipped to even come close to disagreeing with our attorney on what's reasonable. It's not even close. You're not equipped, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I can see that's going to be a disaster. So potentially, if you had a bad actor, and I know that we don't, but if we did, we would now have a school board which converted from 5 school board members to 1 member who's smarter than the rest. Not a good idea in terms of governance and the model of the school district. 2.14. Let me skip that. Let me go to 2.15. 2.1.5. It's 2.1.5 and 2.1.6, this is splitting hairs to the degree that no one has ever had to, at least since I've been here, as long as Frank has been here. Whatever legal issue comes up, Frank has dealt with. It doesn't matter what it is, whether he sent it off to someone else, or whether he dealt with it, or whatever, 24 hours a day, whatever the issue was, it went to Frank, and Frank resolved it. Now we're splitting hairs, and this points to exactly what I'm saying, that you guys are going to be outsmarted by an attorney all the time, at least in this contract. And that's all we have based. This is a completely good faith contract. I know that. I know how contracts work. She's an attorney, but because there's no other attorney on our side that's going to prevent you from being outsmarted. Once Frank leaves, that's it. And you've created the situation where you are fighting over details with your attorney about what her duties are. That's not a good plan for this district. That is not a good way to go forward. The base salary, I've already discussed that. 4.4, the $2,000. Okay, it's not a big deal, but I agree. That was a question that I had, just like the gentleman who spoke. 4.5, reimbursable expensive. This seems more appropriate to have a district card. There's the general feeling when I read this contract is that it is very open for the new attorney, very closed for the school board to challenge. 4.6, whatever the attorney deems appropriate for the performance of her duties. I would think it would be much smarter to put in just an allowance and allow her to use up the allowance to decide what is appropriate in the performance of her duties regarding the associations and so on. Sorry about that. Paying for the bar. I don't know that that's our responsibility. Is it our responsibility to pay for the bar of an attorney when we hire her? I don't think that it is. I think that is the attorney's responsibility to pay for the bar. No such other professional or educational memberships as Corin determines are necessary to maintain to improve her professional knowledge and skills. Okay, some yes, right? You would see Florida School Board Attorneys Association, that would make sense. But what if she decides she wants to go get her tax license? Then we would be paying for that tax license, right? So you have it open-ended. Did anyone else read this contract? 5.1, great contract, by the way. If I were an attorney, I would write the same contract, so I'm not digging on the contract, but the fact that nobody else is reading it is ridiculous. If you don't have any commentary on it, how can you not? Annual leave, right? So there's two sets of holidays, right? We have the holidays that are off by the federal government and then the holidays that are listed here, which are the Jewish holidays. So is it both? It's not exactly clear. It may be both, right? I think what it says is that the attorney is going to be using her holidays, her vacation days for these holidays. Fine, that's a non-issue, right? I think that's what it says. But it's not exactly clear because there's possibly that she's getting all the holidays that we have now, which it mentions later on in the contract, and the Jewish holidays. That would create a problem, right? Okay, so maybe not. It's a clarity issue. So, regarding school leave, the board shall accept the transfer of all sick leave currently held by Corin from her other school board employers. I'm not sure that that's fair. Are principals allowed to do that? They are? Wow, that's a great job. Okay, then they'll complain on that one, at least. 6, additional professional development activities. So we're going through this process again. It seems like a lot, but Corin may engage in additional outside professional development activities, including teaching and consulting. So wasn't the point of having an in-house attorney would be someone that was solely dedicated to this? Now, teaching, you can be flexible on the teaching. Maybe someone who was a teacher would be good. She could teach law school. Okay, maybe great. But then when you're consulting, essentially you're another practicing attorney, practicing on something else. So I'm not sure that was the intention. That's also mentioned later. 7.5, the board and Corin agree that absent an emergency, Friday to sundown to Saturday at sundown is not, there's a typo by the way. Sunday is not a workday within the intention of the parties to this agreement. Well, that wasn't what we discussed during the interview, right? And that's certainly a reduction in the level of service that Frank, the arrangement that we have with Frank. Termination without cause, 8.1. A 4-to-1 vote. So the ramifications of this are, if I were correct about any one of these other issues, on a 4-to-1 vote, which would be nearly impossible to have, we wouldn't be able to correct it. So we would be barred from correcting anything. So if, being the extremely intelligent attorney, great attorney that she is, who wrote this great contract, which is completely beneficial to the attorney, when either one of you, any of you, were to find out, woof, this is kind of rough here, and then you go and you reclaim to the attorney, and the attorney says to you, you know what, it's in my contract, then you would need 4 to support an action of termination, right? So there's 2 problems with that. Number one, not only is that a very high bar, but you are superseding now the will of the voters. The whole point of us being elected is that the voters are in control. Now you're taking the control of the voters. There's no way, there's absolutely zero way, zero reason for us to take the control out of the community's hands, out of the voters' hands, and do this. Certainly there's nothing conservative, not worldly conservative, about that. That is irresponsible. Now, we made the exception for Dr. Shanoff, and there's a reason an argument can be made for that, right? But there's no, what are we going to do that? Extend that to every single position down where we do a 4-1 vote? That is called a consolidation of power, which is an abuse of the voters of Osceola County. It is an abuse. There's nothing, it's nothing short of an abuse of the voters of Osceola County for us to do that. That needs to be stricken. There's no way I can support that. If Ms. Corrin is the best attorney on the planet today, I still would not vote for that. And you can yawn all you want, but you should have been maybe drank a Red Bull and read this contract before you signed it.
Who are you talking to?
School board member over there yawning. Severance compensation. Aside from that, there's no termination without cause in this contract. Without cause. And there is in yours. So what's the arrangement? Are you going to try to make one up? I guarantee you she's smarter than the 4 of you. So what are you going to do? I mean, listen, this is a consolidation of power, and this is my opinion now. I stopped reading at that point. This is an act by the people who control these school board members. That's what this is. Because they can't control it. They don't know what they're doing. They're taking the power away from the citizens of Osceola County, and they're taking control of the school board. Because they no longer have an empress of Osceola here in control, so now they're creating a system that is to replace it. That is wrong. There's no other word for it. And there's no responsible way to sign this contract. Not to saying that you won't, because we're about to have a 4-1 right now. But this is absolutely irresponsible, inexcusable. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Vice Chair, you're recognized.
Thank you. I would like to ask, this contract came forward, since this is an in-house counsel, Dr. Shanoff, can you speak on how the contract came to you?
So Ms. Corrin is not my employee, she's the board's employee, so therefore Mr. Kruppenbacher negotiated that.
Yes, please.
I can address it, and I want to clarify some things. First of all, as you heard, it is standard for sick leave to be transferred at this level. The issue of outside work, if you look across at lawyers' contracts, as long as they're not doing it on work time, they're allowed to do that. But I want to put some things in the record to make sure, because Ms. Corrin's here, to make it part of this, because it's very clear. The only work Ms. Corrin should be doing is the work directed and required by this board, and she should not be giving policy thoughts. That's the board's role. She should be giving legal guidance. I had a long talk with her about that. I emphasize that to all younger lawyers. Stick in your lane of giving legal guidance. And I say that at this whole, because, look, I've seen it also. There are times you would hear me say, hey, based on my experience, and it's outside on the legal thing, but that is very clear, and if she doesn't agree with it, that she needs to speak up, because it's going to be part of the record that that's what was understood. The sundown on Friday, which needs to be to sundown on Saturday, or sundown on Saturday, is a religious observance. I've told her I'll be available for those hours should you guys ever, any board ever have any questions, all right? The issue of 4-to-1 votes. The way I interpret this contract, if you want to get rid of her for no reason at all, you have to have a 4-1 vote. Right? If you want to get rid of her for a reason that's specified, that's a 3-2 vote. Now, I can clarify that if any of you want it clarified, but I'm telling you that's how I interpret the issue. And the 4-1 is becoming very common because of the degree to which school boards have been thrust into the middle of lots of political stuff. I'm just giving you the background on it. It's your policy call. But if you want, I can clarify that. For a cause, it's 3-2, all right? And for a no cause, it's 4-1, all right? And the 3-2, you don't get to challenge it. It's over with, and you deal with the contract. As to compensation, those are all policy decisions by you. It's pretty competitive out there right now, as you saw, to just get people, and I'll distinguish this. Guys, I came to you in a very good time where, candidly, I didn't need the money. People have asked me, I represent a number of significant corporations in Central Florida. People would say, why do you do the school board stuff? And I can truthfully say from my heart, I've done it in my career because there has been nothing more rewarding than knowing I was part of something helping young people in some way and the people who cared about them. When I was president of the Orlando Chamber, my acceptance speech, I said this, and I've lived by it. We are the people as adults who keep the dreams for our children alive. And I thank all these staff members because I see them work on that. And look, there's all level of staff members, like all level of lawyers, good, bad, indifferent. All I know is that superintendent is working very hard to move your district forward. I think I've said enough on it. I'll answer any questions. I'll go one step further because I think it's fair. I would ask you, if you approve this, I want to modify the one section on she's got to have the board's approval to go to anything beyond these, just so there can never be an argument that, and she's not going to have a problem with that. These are the relevant ones for being a lawyer. And that would solve that issue. So my recommendation would be that you make that motion. I clarify those 2 or 3 things about you stick within the law, no policy. The board can vote 3-2 for cause, and I'll clean up the professional provision. I couldn't envision anything beyond that, so I left it alone the way it was, but I can tighten that up and say, you know, you can't go to anything beyond that or do anything beyond that unless the board specifically votes to authorize it. And I don't know of anything else that you need to go to.
Madam Chair. Yes, are you all settled?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Melendez, you're recognized, and then Mr. Arguello.
Thank you, because I think that's a proper modification, because I'm glad Mr. Arroyo pointed that out, because when I read that one, it was professional development. I was just thinking that's continuing education, and I want to encourage that. I want my attorney to be the best they can be, to get all their certifications. But I didn't realize that within it was like they could perform consulting services. That was the whole reason why we had the fight between outside counsel and in-house counsel. I want to be, I wanted to be like only the school district's employee. And even though you could take, vacation time, I want the vacation to be a vacation. I don't want the attorney burning out either, but I do want if I want to have a full-time in-house person, I don't want them doing consulting for other people,
If you have a dedicated lawyer, I can tell you, they're not going to be in.
Yeah, like what time would they have? What time would they even have for it?
Right.
But to John's point, though,
But
from a technical
this is-
perspective.
I'm seeing this as standard language in all the contracts. I advise the young lawyers at the school boards associations. You got more than enough to do at the district. You don't need the extra dollars you
So I
can
think that a
make.
simple modification would be is if they want to do, if she wants to perform any kind of outside consulting, to get prior approval from the board first before doing any outside work.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Arguello, you're recognized.
It is so frustrating to have a seat in the only place in the entire world where we sign contracts based on, we'll fix it later. I mean, it's like Congress, like Obamacare, just pass it, we'll worry about it later. You have a contract before you, and apparently no one read it. And this is the attorney. I'm not sure if you guys maybe understood what your duty was, you would not if you haven't read the contract. And tabling it wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen. In fact, it would create a great basis for a relationship between you and the attorney to know that you're actually serious, as opposed to just coming here, collecting a few bucks, and getting in front of cameras every so often. There's no responsible way, okay, to sign a contract and then say, we'll agree on the details later. Okay, and in terms of the spell out, the 3241, it is spelled out in the contract. Gross negligence. That's going to be a pretty high bar to find her being grossly negligent. You already know that's not part of her character. That's never going to happen. It's just grossly irresponsible, and it's detestably disrespectful to the community that not only are you going to just forget it, sign the contract, it's all easy. That's how you guys have done everything. That's how you guys do everything. And it's just really disrespectful to the community that pays you now $50,000 a year to come here, read the agenda, do the job, and make a conscience-based vote. I mean, is there not anyone here with a conscience that you guys don't even bother to read the agenda or read these things? You're literally going to sign a contract that you guys have not read. You're going to sign a contract of which the terms you don't exactly agree with. I mean, you're totally unprepared. The community of Osceola County is so undeserving of public officials that don't take this seriously.
Thank you. Vice Chair Booth, I see that you have a comment, but if I can take a moment of privilege, and this is not really a comment for the board, but for the community. I don't come here unprepared. I haven't come here unprepared for 5 years. I sit and I speak to every single member on the dais for hours before I come into a board meeting. And I'm making that distinction because saying it once, perhaps in a meeting in passing, or saying it in a tweet in passing is fine. But to repeatedly accuse this board of being irresponsible and unprepared, enough already. I know for a fact most people, and I actually do say most people, because not all of you sit with people on the dais, most people sit and prepare for these meetings for hours before they come here. Thank you. Vice Chair, you're recognized.
Yes, I can speak to, for a contract, and this is not anything to do with you, Ms. Sarah, we want you, we need you here. For the wording to be said, oh, we're gonna just kind of change this up, and this up in 3 different places at this point in time right now, I would motion to table so we can clean up the language in here, Because right now, as it's looking, we don't have that to understand what that looks like. I know we said that, but it doesn't say it in the writing here too. What is the ramifications of tabling it moving forward for the next meeting?
There's no ramifications, team.
We're
Except-
covered with legal
No,
counsel.
there is no ramifications to table anything, but to the point of being prepared for meetings, you didn't get this contract this afternoon. So I would challenge us to, if you have questions, especially on this level, we should have conversations with our attorney, whomever that might be, before coming into this meeting and then saying we're gonna table it.
Madam Chair.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
I mean, I'm saying it's fine. What I'm saying is, this contract didn't just appear out of nothing, and there seems to be, for some people, several different items that they don't agree with. Why are we hearing about this tonight instead of perhaps on Tuesday saying, hey, some board members have issues, maybe this is not the week to make this decision before having more conversations? That's all I'm asking.
Well, I did, but
A
someone
board
did
member-
point it out.
The only
It's
board
fine.
member who spoke to me prior to this meeting about a concern that we talked through was Mr. Melendez.
Okay. Vice Chair, and then I'll recognize Mr. Arguello.
To make the changes into the contract, are you able to read that into the record?
Yes, I already did it earlier, but I'll do it again. One is that it will be spelled out that Ms. Corrin is only to render the legal advice and not policy advice, which is within the purview of the board, right? And I will go a step further. When the changes are made, I'll send them to the board. If anybody thinks it's not right, I will advise the chairperson not to sign the contract until we bring it back, okay? Second, we will clarify that outside work requires approval of the board. And then we will clarify, well, I think it's clarified already, about you can fire her for any reason that you can fire an administrator. All right? Gross negligence isn't in there, it's willful neglect. It's all the reasons the state statute lays out for cause. And candidly, that is an appropriate protection for a person who's in a position who gets thrust consistently, and this is why I'm so adamant telling her, stay within the law, into the middle of political matters. All right? And if you haven't been around a long time, you can get caught up in it and get out of the lane. When I was young, I have had that happen. So you got to stay in that lane and define it. You have, let me share something with you. Some boards have gone to an in-house lawyer who works with the staff, and then a board lawyer who advises the board. Because you got this constant, or you're representing, if you're doing something and they don't like the board, one or more board members don't like the superintendent, you're accused of favoring the superintendent. All right? And so you get caught in this box, and you have to learn how to properly deal with it with the understanding that the client is the ultimate, the board, which represents the public. And as long as what is being done by the staff is legal, it's not your role to get into a debate with them about the policy, whether it's good policy or not. That's the board's role. So those would be the changes that I would make. They're very direct. It would resolve, I think, the concerns that were raised. And so I don't see a reason to delay it.
I personally, and I asked Mr. Arguello if I can take a moment, because I don't have, I personally don't technically have an issue with just accepting your changes. I trust you, I've seen you do this before, but this has become an issue where then people can go on and say that we were not doing our homework. So if you're gonna change the contract as a matter of policy, which I think we should adopt, is we should just bring it back complete so that everyone can see it before we vote on it, instead of saying we're gonna change it, which I trust you. I just don't trust other people to use that against us to say that we're unprofessional.
And the only bad byproduct of that is I have to now come back to the next meeting.
Oh, no.
That's okay.
No! Okay, thank you. Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, I trust my mom. That's it. All right, I trust my wife. That's it. I trust my mom and my wife. I can't even trust my son or my daughter, all right? There's no way, at least with this kind of contract. So, I mean, it's not a personal. It's just
I'll bring
simply,
it back.
yeah, it's just simply like, the conversation that was had just now, previous to me getting my turn again, proves or demonstrates exactly what I mentioned. I mean, so it's further proof.
Which is what, though, we want to make sure that it's in the public, on the record, checked in from A to Z, that everyone sees it, including the people who hire us to do their jobs, and that we all approve it, so that we're transparent, and we're not just having conversations about we're going to change it, so then other people can come over and say, you didn't do your homework? Is that the conversation?
First of all, thank you for interrupting me, but my point is that it's clear that not everyone read this contract with the seriousness that it deserves, or with the representation that the public deserves, right? That's the whole reason that you're here, and it seems like everyone forgets why they are here. You are here to execute the will of the community. That's why you're here. You have also 25 duties and responsibilities according to state statute. You guys might want to pick that up once in a while. So the problem is that we are not agreeing on this. She would also have to agree to this, right? Ms. Gorin have to agree to it. Why, you guys can make a verbal agreement right now. It's on the record. It's not like it matters. And negotiate the final details now and sign it. That would even be better. But as far as me going into some room and trying to hash this out on my own, I don't do that. You're right. Because someone has to be honest and transparent enough to tell the public how, let me chain through words so I can find one that's maybe softer, inappropriate, okay, to sign and vote on here under these circumstances. And that happens all the time, okay? I know that if it were me paying somebody, if you were paying someone $50,000 a year to represent you, I guarantee you would want better representation than this. And I certainly, out of $200,000, want much, much better representation than they are providing with the community that you're witnessing right now.
Madam Chair,
yeah.
if there's a motion to approve, it needs to be withdrawn, and a motion needs to be.
So the motion was made by Board Member Cahoon.
I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. And then we need a new motion to not table this contract, to bring a new contract with the modifications that have been mentioned by other board members.
And I would ask, if anybody has an issue, please tell me ahead of time. So a lot of this could have been worked out before the meeting.
So moved. Motion by Vice Chair. Second by Board Member Melendez to bring a new contract with the modifications made on the dais by next board meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next item. I have two
Yes,
things.
please do. Thank you.
Teal, at the last meeting, if you remember, we had an application regarding a conversion of a hotel to one room. We had extensive meetings with the staff and superintendent. We actually think we've come up with something that would work to help those people who need homes in the community in that type of model, and that would properly protect the district. We have our outside impact fee consultant working through it. Rhonda has dug up a lot of data for us that we can rely on to help us. Dave Sharman's been very helpful as a superintendent. So I spoke with Teal. We are going to continue it to the November meeting, where I will come to that meeting and present to you what we think will be the resolution. The reason it's not coming back at the next meeting is Teal could not. That was a problem for their schedule. But they've been working with us, and I think what we'll come up with, if what we think works, is going to be something that really helps everybody and doesn't allow anybody to abuse it.
What other items do you have on your receipt?
One last thing, following this meeting, we will immediately have a closed litigation executive session on a case involving JW, that is the student's initials, versus Osceola County School Board, case number 22-23339E. and 22341-5E in front of the Division of Administrative Hearings for the state of Florida. The purpose of that is to discuss litigation strategies and/or settlement. It will be recorded by the court reporter who is here tonight. Upon conclusion of that litigation, and no appeal, I mean, it's done, that record becomes available to the public. The only thing that can be talked about in that meeting is this case and those issues. In attendance, I have to name it, will be each board member, the superintendent, and myself. That completes my reports.
Do you have anything else on your receipt?
No, ma'am.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a second subject to the executive session, which is FSAT. There was a security update that the board requested
That's true.
in closed session.
I was just doing, we don't have to announce that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I withdraw my comments.
Thank you, board. Any questions for Mr. Kaufenbacher?
I have a question for the
Yes.
attorney.
Yes, thank you.
I've had some community outreach from parents and just different community members in relation to a charge against school board member Melendez. And I just want to know for further clarification if there's any liability in relation to our position as a school board with these charges, and if there's something that would come on us if we were not to take some kind of stand or motion in relation to it.
Members of the board, when the issue we're referring to arose, I wrote the Commissioner of Education, his general counsel, as well as the Governor's general counsel, to be sure that I knew I was correct, but I had some people saying, well, are you sure, et cetera. I wanted to put it. There is no authority for this board to do anything regarding another board member other than to say we're censuring you, which I'm not recommending at this time. You can't suspend pay, you can't do anything. That is solely in the authority of the governor of the state of Florida. As of right now, I have no idea what the governor may be thinking or not thinking or has even heard about this, all right, as of right now. Now, I was asked, the other question is there liability? I would ask the board member if they were going to go to a school or that they make sure they have an escort with them so nobody can say anything.
Are we able to, as a board, I guess, recommend that the board member does not attend any school functions until this matter is resolved?
The board could recommend that. The board member is not bound by that. You can't impose that at all. But given the amount of calls in that, I would just, I would say to the board member to protect himself, all right, and for the board that if you're going to be on a campus or in an activity, you have an adult with you from the school district. And that would comport with what we do with lots of adults who come on our properties that aren't fingerprinted, et cetera. I mean, it's not unheard of. We do that often.
Can we require that then? If we're not able to ask the board member to abstain from going?
That actually conflicts with a particular statute that gives the board the right to just go on into a school that can in any way be impeded, et cetera. Candidly, every school board member I know who does that always goes to the principal. I mean, they don't just go wandering around a school because they want to protect themselves. But no, you can't require that.
Board member Arguello, you have the floor.
I love the hypocrisy here, where, so if a school board member calls another school board member an idiot, then you guys write a letter to the governor. Now this situation comes up, and you guys are like, well, can we put a flower in the wind over this? You guys are so full of it. It's ridiculous. You're a
What
bunch
do
of
you think we should do then?
Okay, let me speak, please. Okay, and I don't know, you have this machine here? You're not supposed to interrupt the other school board
I
members.
know, but you're
I
telling
know,
us
I
that
know,
we're
but
not
this is
doing
not
our
your living
jobs
room.
once again.
This is
So
not your living
What do
room.
you want us to do?
If you want me to tell you how to do your job, I could, and you would be much better at it. But instead, let me finish my statement, okay? For one, I think you guys should all resign because you're all fools. You are a disservice. You guys come here and you provide a disservice to the community. That's what you should do, if you ask me.
So why are we continuing to insult board members, especially board members who are just having a conversation?
Write another letter, Teresa. Write another letter.
Is that, are you motioning
Write another
for that?
letter.
Are
Write
you
another letter,
motioning for that?
Teresa. Write another letter.
Are
I'm talking about
you-
me.
Are you
Write another
motioning?
letter about me.
So we
You
have
guys
no
are a joke.
motion and no.
You guys are a joke.
Thank you for that. It was really great having people.
That you can go knock on somebody's door, scream and yell like a crazy person, and nothing, and no letter is written. You guys are a joke. You have no credibility, and you guys are like the definition of dishonesty and malfeasance on this board.
Thank you. Mr.
You're
Poppenbacher, do
welcome.
you have any further comments or suggestions during this time without calling us idiots?
No, I do think there is a point to be made, though, that this conduct is alleged, is far more severe than what was reported to the governor. So I think there's a legitimate argument that is the board acting in accordance with the same approach they took.
I think that's a conversation that we can't have, and I would love to have that conversation candidly if all board members will be respectful of each other. So we did something during another case. Would that also would this situation warrant the same treatment?
Yes.
I'm all for equal treatment. I don't want anybody to be.
The answer is yes.
Then if that's the case, can we also then send a letter for you for busting down my door and making people think that there was a school shooting going on?
Would you
That
like
would be
to
great.
do that?
Absolutely, I think
Sure,
that
well,
we should
let's
do
bring it
that.
up. And when did that happen?
I think you know when it happened. It's on the video
Madam
there. I
Chair,
have a
you said
recording
yes.
there.
It's
Just
not
keep
a
moving
topic
forward,
right
Madam Chair.
now,
This is starting not to get productive, Madam Chair.
But we can do both letters. I'll do the one regarding the chair, and then I'll prepare one for the chair on behalf of the board.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Finally, one last thing, Madam Chair. I just want to thank somebody, if they're not here at the next meeting, in the audience. Joanne Colonna, thank you for helping me work on that particular situation and getting it resolved. I really do appreciate it.
So should we vote on those letters?
You ought to vote to authorize it so it can be represented to the board.
It's not even on the agenda. It's not even on new business.
Do we want to add it to do we add it to new business next meeting?
No, I think I'm just going to put the board's consensus.
Okay,
I'm
great.
not going to quibble at this point about the issue one way or the other.
Mr. Arguello, these were both
That's
your letters, your
Your
suggestions?
letter is mine.
No.
Your letter harassing me
These were
was
both your
mine.
suggestions.
Listen, I'll speak for myself, okay? Your letter is on me. I'd love to put my name on the letter
Go
with
ahead.
you to the
Go ahead.
governor. Thank
Go
you.
ahead and put that to the floor.
And if any of you would like to take action on the other board member, feel free.
Mr. Arguello, could I make a suggestion? I honestly think.
Suggest to them, Frank. I don't need suggestions,
would
but I appreciate
suggest
it.
to the board it'd be more appropriate coming from the general counsel, so the governor does not view himself in some fight between board members.
Great, that's fine. Thank you. Great suggestion.
So do we have action on the floor?
I think there was consensus. You don't need action, a vote on this.
Consensus or sending both letters?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're moving on to item 7.0. Are you all settled, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, 7.02. And that was pulled by Board Member Arguello and Board Member Cahill? Or you, sorry. Board Member Arguello, you have the floor.
I have not finished reading all of these school improvement plans, so I'm not comfortable approving them all. I'm sure that you guys will. I did have concerns about this. The superintendent absolutely answered my questions along with his staff, but I didn't finish reading them, so.
Thank you. Board Member or Vice Chair?
Yes, my comment is to the School Advisory Council membership. I just want to thank all of the parents who have been engaged in every school SAC meeting, whether they are the president, vice president, treasurer. It's a leadership role that they take and do monthly at each and every school. I encourage parents to step up and be a part of that at every school. There's a budget that gets approved and all types of school advisory issues that happen with the principal and administrative team there, as well as school staff. I've actually been a part of SAC for many years at our schools, and there are students involved as well. So I encourage and I thank every single parent and community member who are business owners as well, who give their time every single month to these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that a motion?
Yes, motion to approve.
Thank you. Second. I have a motion by Vice Chair Booth and a second by Board Member Cahoon. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda that was pulled was by Vice Chair, 9.01, under consent.
Again, I say this sometimes, I just wanted to say thank you to all of those community members who are giving to our schools and different programs. I always hate skipping over this item as well in public comment because it is important for folks to open this and take a look. These are local businesses and PTAs that are helping out the schools for lots of different things, like our teacher who had said here today. Step up and help, and there's lots of different ways to do that, and I just wanted to say thank you to the community for that, and motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Vice Chair, second by Board Member Cahoon. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item 9.08 was pulled by Board Member Arguello.
So I had concerns about this contract. My concerns were all answered extremely well and fully. My only concern that I didn't get to mention then is that I hope that this is going to be, has finality to it, so when they do their thing, that we pick and that's it. So maybe we might want to get involved in, I don't know, go through this process a little bit more. I think that this is potentially, I'm trying to say things nice. So anyways, I think that the staff did a great job of answering these questions. This is something that I think that the community want to look at, and it's also something that we may want to pay attention to. And with that, I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Arguello, second by Vice Chair, with a comment by Board Member Melendez. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One concern, though, that I had spoken to the superintendent about before is gap analysis looks at where we currently are to where what could be better. But I just want to make sure that at a certain point, we kind of revise the entire org chart and business process flow. Because if the ERP is going to be capturing things, we should kind of put it like a prospective statement that says, hey, this is the way we want to operate. Because an ERP system has more capabilities than terms. And so I just want to make sure that we're looking at, not just where we are now. I don't know, to me, long story short, not just looking at where we are now, but where do we want to be? And I would love for Mr. Thorne's staff to look at and say, okay, what does the district want to accomplish with the new ERP system and where those needs can come and arise or get filled?
Madam Chair, can I address that?
Of course, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez, for that comment. That is the entire purpose behind the gap analysis is to identify where the deficiencies exist within our current systems, and then be able to write out a spec in the RFP, so then we are very transparent to any company that bids specifically what we want to do and those requirements that we want to accomplish. It will be a very comprehensive gap analysis. We are not just looking at one function or two functions of the district. This is designed to be a full solution, and of course the org structure will reflect that. We're talking about thousands of workflows that will need to be developed, and so they are going to look at our existing workflows, and then we'll go ahead and talk about what the most efficient workflow will look like, and that will be the basis by which the board will have the best option based on that information. And by the way, the responsibility of Plant Moran, if this is approved, they are a fiduciary for the school board in this process. They have no stake in selection of an RFP provider, nor do they have any benefit from us choosing a particular provider. They are strictly for us.
Does that answer your questions or comments?
Yes.
Rossetto?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Thank you. Board Member Cahoon, you pulled item 11.03.
Yes, I just wanted to give another shout out to PATHS as they head to Washington DC next month to accept the National Blue Ribbon Award. I'm very excited for them. And I even told Dr. Shanoff I wanted to jump on the train and I'd pay myself. Just very excited for that because it's such a huge honor for them. With that, I motion to approve.
Thank
Did I
you.
pull 1102? I thought I pulled.
Mr. Arguello pulled 1102, Ms. Cahoon pulled 1103.
I thought you said 1103, I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, you pulled 1102, did we not? Okay, let's go ahead and approve this and then we'll go back to 1102.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Cahoon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Board Member Cahoon, second by Board Member, or Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Thank you. 1102.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could I back up to
To what?
9.8? The superintendent said that the contractor was a fiduciary for us. If we're going to put him in that role, the board needs to authorize me to change and amend the contract to impose on them a fiduciary duty. That's a very technical.
Can you bring that back as an amendment since we just finished approving it?
Yep, if the board by consensus is okay, I'll just make the change, right? Okay.
Are you going to bring it back as an amendment?
No, the record reflects their consensus. All I got to do is add one line that says they agree that they have a fiduciary responsibility in providing the services under this contract.
1102?
Yeah, the OXA is going away to another trip for the jazz band. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed. That's all. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Arguello, second by Vice Chair. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Thank you. That moves us on to regular agenda. We'll start with item 12.01.
Ms. Castillo, that was regular agenda.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
So
sorry.
1101 just needs to have its own.
Motion to approve 1101.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair, second by Board Member Cahoon. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Thank you. Item 12.01. I didn't have anybody pull it, so.
Motion approved.
And second.
Motion by Melendez, second by Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign? I'm assuming that means everyone agrees. We'll move on to the items under 13. We have to do these all because we pulled,
Individually.
yeah, we pulled 1303.
Motion approved 1301.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Melendez, second by Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Motion approved 1302.
And second.
Motion by Melendez, second by Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you. And we have item 1303 was pulled by Board Member Cahoon.
Yes, I would just like to say, I am not in favor of a one-off change to this position. We have a number of secretaries that serve our leadership staff, including those at the district level and our school secretaries, serving administrators that manage entire schools, who are at lesser levels than the current position that's on the agenda tonight. I would be open to looking at the job descriptions and pay levels for each of those positions and having the superintendent bring this back to us with something that addresses the issue at the core. I think this sets a precedence for some of our staff members to feel like they are not valued and appreciated at the same level. And that is the motion I have on this.
What is the motion?
To have the superintendent, to table this, have him look at it in regards to all of the secretaries that are serving district administrators and school administrators. I feel like there's a big gap there, and leaves it open for some contingency in our schools, in our departments.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table. Before I recognize the others, do we have a second? Okay, motion dies. We'll recognize board
Motion
member.
approved 1303.
Okay. Motion to approve 1303 by Mr. Melendez.
Second.
Second by board member Arguello with discussion. And for that discussion, we have Arguello first and then Melendez.
Yeah. Those comments were utterly ridiculous, especially in comparison that we have had one-offs since 6 months that you've been on the air or so. There have been a ton, and it's if basically they're a friend of yours, that's okay, but for someone else randomly through the school district is ridiculous. This person is not only extremely hardworking, but 99% of the trouble that she has received and resistance is simply because she is a phenomenal secretary to me, as opposed to what you guys wish, which is for her not to serve me at all or my needs. But she's a phenomenal human being. She's worked tirelessly with multiple people, with multiple demands. It has been nonstop, and that is the most unfair thing ever. This person deserves it. And in terms of the org chart, this is someone who serves the school board. And it doesn't surprise me because you don't know how to treat your own, you don't know how to protect, you don't know how to lead, you lead from the front, you eat last, right? So those things are super important. Okay, so this is super deserving. It's ridiculous. You have a requirement of leaders I'll leave there. That's ridiculous. This person deserves it. Shame on you.
Thank you. Mr. Melendez, point of privilege. Mr. Kaufman-Walker.
Yes.
We need to have a policy and a way to address when board members consistently disrespect other board members, besides me getting red in the face and saying something rude that is going to be later used. We agreed on a policy where we would not disrespect each other, and yet every board meeting we're being called idiots, irresponsible, stupid. What is the deal here? What are we going to do to make sure that we continue to have board meetings where people do not disrespect each other?
The only power you have is that gavel. And if you find a board member you think is violating the agreement, you can gavel them down and say, I'm not
So
gonna.
basically recessing the meeting every time somebody
not
decides.
recessing
I mean,
the
that's the
meeting.
only thing that's worked in the past.
Well, I haven't seen the gaveling down, so I would say the most you can do is gavel the person down and say, we're not going to bring your point up, you don't need to attack. Right? But you're going to have to apply that to everybody.
Well, I would have the choice to do that if other board members were also being disrespectful, but, okay. I'm gonna ask you, once again, if you can find it in your heart to stop disrespecting board members. I know I interrupt you because I'm passionate about you not being disrespectful to other board members, if that's what you're gonna say.
Well, I'm passionate about you serving the community the way that you were voted to do it. You guys are
Mr.
failing to do
Arguello,
that.
I would
So-
invite you to look at how I won this election with 3 people,
You bought your
including
seat.
yours. I
You
did
bought your
not buy
seat.
my seat.
You
I
bought your
knocked
seat.
on every
You bought your
single
seat.
door. And that's what bothers
Okay,
you, right?
this is totally inappropriate.
It is not
It's
inappropriate for me to
inappropriate.
ask you
And like I
once
said,
again,
you're not passionate, you're out of
once
control. There's a
again,
difference between the two.
once again, to stop disrespecting board members.
Can
You're
you move
the
on? This is
only-
not your living room, as I
No,
said before.
no.
Let's move on and keep
I'm
it.
not gonna move on
He said
because-
to use the gavel, okay? You should use the gavel on yourself right now.
We're gonna recess, Mr. Melendez. We'll be back in a second. 5-minute recess. Meeting, Mr. Melendez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With all due respect, it's not a one-off position. I don't think that categorizes that because the position is at the highest of the organizational chart. So there is no real comparison if you want to look at it that way. But looking it down one level below, we do have an assistant that works for the superintendent that is paid at a level 19 position. So this is technically the equivalent. I mean, theoretically, if you want to go by what is equitable, the school board is higher than the superintendent, and so this should be warranted of a level 20, because if the superintendent's assistant makes level 19, then the school board should be level 20, because the school board assistant not only reports to the school board, but let's say the attorney has a quick question, she doesn't say, I'm not going to address your concerns. If the superintendent goes to her and says, hey, I can help with graduation ceremonies, because she attends graduation ceremonies and other things like that, she's present at the school board meetings. She's present, you know. So to me, level 19 is not even equity. Level 19, level 20 is what would be considered equity because she is the highest on the org chart. There is nobody higher than what that position has. So level 19 is more than what's actually unequitable. I want to go on the record and say I support level 19, but even that is not really equitable. But for the purposes of this, I appreciate the superintendent for doing that, because that's part of the job of the superintendent when he came in, was to look at everything and how do I create the best environment to recruit and retain employees. We just had a workshop this morning talking about how do we recruit and retain people. You know, voting down somebody is not the way to retain people and recruit them, especially somebody that has worked tirelessly for this district. As you know, this isn't the easiest school board to get along with. You know, we can't even get along with each other. So you have an employee that is at the whim of all five of us, plus the superintendent, plus the attorney, and we have another school board employee at the level 19 level. So to me, I can't even believe that they're not even at the 19 level already. So this is wronging a right. So this is not a runoff. This is, I just want to make that real clear. So it's not like we're creating this position specially for somebody. No, it's not. It's actually righting a wrong because someone beneath them on the org chart makes more than them, and that's not appropriate. And I didn't want to bring that up. I didn't want to create this issue of animosity. This was a good faith effort of the superintendent to do the right thing, and I'm appreciative of the superintendent. That's why we got him, and I'm so excited for having a superintendent that's forward-looking. Same thing with the IT. It's not about what's here now in front of us. It's how do we make it better? How do we maintain, you know, employees at the district working hard at the highest level? And I'm honored to sit next to this person that has to deal with so much. You just saw what happened today, and this person has to absorb all of it. We cannot pay her enough money, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I just want to let you know that it is not a one-off, that it is a fair position.
Thank you. We have another comment by Board Member Cahoon.
I just want to clarify, I was talking about the position, not the person, when I was asking for the review of this and of the other secretarial positions that are serving our district leaders and our school administrators. I'm talking about the positions, not the person.
Thank you, Board Member Cahoon. Dr. Shanoff.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was going to chime in to say that I understand exactly where Board Member Cahoon is coming from, and I do believe that it's worthy of a review to take a look at all of those positions and make sure that we have good alignment and that the job descriptions and the job responsibilities really do match, and whether or not those pay levels are appropriate for those employees. And I do think that that's something that is probably worth investigating. Yes, I think that that's something that staff can definitely look at.
Thank you. So we have a motion. You took your light off. Did you speak? Go ahead.
No, I took my light off.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. 1304.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Melendez, second by Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 1305.
Second.
1305. Motion to approve by Melendez, second by Vice Chair Booth. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 1306.
Second. Motion to approve by Melendez, second by Castillo. Board, all those in favor? Aye.
Motion approved, 1307.
Second by Castillo, motion by Melendez. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Thank you. Move on to regular items 14.
Motion approved, 1401.
Second. Motion by Melendez, second by Cahoon. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Thank you.
Motion approved, 1510.
Motion by Board Member Melendez, second by Board Member Cahoon to approve 1510. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Thank you. Now is the time that we will do public comments. So we will go ahead and start with Brooke Means.
Good evening, Board. Brooke Means, St. Cloud, Florida, 34771. I often hear many reference the separation of church and state inaccurately. This subject was originally discussed in a private letter from Thomas Jefferson to Danbury Baptist Association in Connecticut. And the original intent was to protect the church from the intrusion of the state and not the other way around. America was founded on Judeo-Christian values. Those who would expunge religion out of American history will have to bring quite a large eraser, as Thomas Jefferson, who wrote The Separation of Church and State, was deeply religious and did not hide his convictions despite working in government. His work on the Great Seal of the United States was emblematic of his religious passion. With that said, I'd like to show my support for Dr. Shanoff in meeting with the faith leaders and opening doors for communication on how to better serve our children in the community. So thank you, Dr. Shanoff.
Thank you for your comments. The next person will be Diane Knight.
Diane Knight, Mustang Court, St. Cloud, Florida. I just have two short comments. I think this is directed towards Frank in regards to the school board member and the charge against him. Would it not be appropriate for him to take a leave of absence at this time? You don't have to answer me. I just wanted to present that. And the other thing is, there's a rumor going around about Homecoming King and Queen will be no more, and that is going to be replaced. I hope that we stand on tradition and that this isn't something that is going to be possible. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Colleen Schmidt.
Hello again. I came here tonight to speak a little bit more about some of the laws that impact our classroom libraries and our school libraries. We have been given a tool that helps to process what is appropriate and not appropriate through the software called Beanstack. And basically, you scan the the code on the back of the book into the computer, or if it doesn't recognize it, or some of my books, about 100 of my books are old enough that they don't even have those on the back of the books. You have to hand enter them. I've spent hours. I have about 500 books that used to be in my classroom library for use for students. Some of them for use of students, some of them were books that I would maybe hold up and show a picture out of the book. I think one of the possibly unintended consequences of the law is that it's very ambiguous and it's difficult to determine exactly what's happening. Of the books that I put in and scanned, which are children's books, 89 were rejected. Now, part of that rejection, you can click on the book and see why. And about half of the time, it's because I teach K through 5, and Beanstack has determined that book is not appropriate for K through 5 reading level wise. which is not part of the law, as far as I can tell. I'm not an attorney, but that's not what I thought the intent of the law was. Not to mention, we have students who are gifted, students who read above grade level, who that book might be appropriate for. Most of my books are drawing books that the students access that look like this. Not until a few weeks ago did I get some of them had gone through the system and been approved. I still have a lot that are pending. But basically, there's very little text. It just shows how animals are drawn. This is used when we do our sketchbooks at the very beginning of the year. They get to pick what they want to put on their cover. And then if they have free time after they're done with their major art projects, we use these. There are other books that I do a lot of integrating with science and literacy and history. So a book about pioneers was rejected. And again, it's not necessary. Sometimes we research text. Other times it's more about the picture or the illustrations in the book so the kids can see what did a pioneer look like? What did a log cabin look like? What does a coral reef look like? So I think that tweaking needs to be happening, on the program.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
Karen Baker.
Good evening. Karen Baker, 2484 Yellow Brick Road, St. Cloud, Florida. I also heard a rumor that Osceola high schools were not having kings and queens at homecoming. How much more is going to be taken away from students? They went through lockdowns, they attended school online, they were kept away from their friends, wore useless masks, missed their proms, graduations. Now there isn't king and queens at homecoming. These are memories that will be lost forever. Having the traditional kings and queens at homecoming needs to be restored. And it is time for the superintendent and board to take a stand and stop this nonsense and to have the courage to reinstate this tradition. Some of my best memories in high school was homecoming and seeing who had been voted as homecoming queen, a biological female. God created male and female and nothing else. Chapters in Genesis 1 and 2. Genesis 1:11 through 11 is a foundation for God's word which never ever changes. Males have XY chromosomes and girls have XX chromosomes, and this will never ever change. This is nothing more than a Marxist socialism agenda. Control the masses and keep them divided and make them think certain behaviors are okay when they are not. God is watching, and he will not be mocked.
Dr. Shanoff, did you want to address those comments?
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate the comments, I do. Last spring, there were some concerns that were raised by the community that students of one gender were elected to represent prom king or queen of the opposite gender. In response to that concern, Dr. Pace unilaterally eliminated king and queen in favor of royalty court. We had schools begin the process of homecoming court nominations under the rules established by Dr. Pace. That's when I found out about the rule. The new rule is compliant with the new laws regarding pronoun usage. And rather than hold one school out of the process and change this midstream, and consulting with Mr. Kruppenbacher, we agreed to remain in this posture through this homecoming cycle with the understanding that we would bring back a policy revision to the next board rulemaking cycle that would align with the state law and restore the titles commonly associated with homecoming and prom.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Arguello.
Dr. Shanoff, by the next board meeting, will all the homecomings be done?
Yes. But prom is in the spring.
And does prom also have a court of the same nature where someone is, well, you have prom queen and king, right? So is the intention to follow through with the same policy for prom?
The intention is to bring a rule back to the board for consideration that would address this and codify it in policy.
Prior to the prom.
Prior to prom.
Prior to prom?
Yeah.
Board, any more questions? Great, we will.
Is that the last comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do have one point, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair.
Is it on the agenda?
No, that was the point, that the resolution that you guys were discussing wasn't on the agenda, and I really hadn't time to really think about it. But I spoke with, during the recess, I spoke with Mr. Poppenbacher about it, and when we voted to censure Mr. Aguayo, it was after the conclusion of an investigation. It wasn't just an allegation. So John can't just say, hey, I led you to do something. There has to be the results. Then based on those results, we did a resolution for that. So obviously, I hired an attorney. I cannot speak about the specifics. That's not to deal with the school district. It's not an employee. That's not a parent. That's not a student. And never was a student that made the allegation. So to me, that says that that is not appropriate for you guys to put a resolution saying this is what we want to send to the governor without having my due process violated. So that's what investigation is for. So when we wrote those letters prior, the precedence was to have an investigation done first. Then pending, and those were charges against Mr. Aguayo based on violating school board rules. And so we came to a conclusion. Then from that conclusion, we were able to make an informed decision. That's what we wanted to send to the governor. But in this case, it is not school board related. There's no school board employees. I've retained counsel to fight for my innocence. And so for you guys to prejudge that ahead of time, that's not even within your purview of your authority, is not appropriate. And so that's what I spoke with Mr. Koppenbacher about. And I don't think that it's fair to vote on a resolution for something where you guys don't know the facts, have no authority over. And so I would caution against that, that legal liability of the school district in submitting a resolution and defaming my name, my personal character as well, because I've worked really hard and I maintain my innocence on that, and I have a right to due process. And I don't appreciate, again, this wasn't on the school board meeting, and I apologize for speaking out of order, just I wasn't prepared to have that conversation, and I know that was coming about. So I would just respectfully request the rest of the board that pending the outcome of my legal case, to then make a decision on what you want to send to the governor, because that's not fair, because I am innocent, and, again, I retain an attorney to defend my innocence, and I'm not allowed to speak on that to incriminate, or mess with the investigation that is occurring. So I appreciate it, you can listen to Mr. Krombarker, listen to his recommendation, but I would highly advise against, a resolution for something that there's been an investigation for.
Thank you for your comments. I have two comments. Mr. Arguello, you are first, and then Ms. Cahoon.
Yeah, there was an investigation made by an attorney who not only didn't follow any credible processes for an investigation, did not swear in any witnesses. When he had questions, he interviewed people as silly as Brandon Arrington, the county commissioner, who had no rhyme or reason to be interviewed at all, or nothing of validity to add to the process. It was all a sham, number one. Then number two, the ethics commission came and found that there was no probable cause, and you guys still failed to do the right thing by retracting the letters which you guys sent. So I'm not sure that saying that the right thing to do would be X and Y, because this board very rarely follows the right thing to do.
Thank you. Board Member Cahoon?
I need clarification because I was not on the board at the time of Mr. Arguello's letter and censure. Were those legal charges brought on Mr. Arguello? How does that relate? How is this apples to apples or just oranges?
Let me clarify something. As I understood the direction earlier, it was not to send a letter to the governor that opined on the guilt or not guilt of Mr. Melendez. Right? It was to send a letter advising him that this was a concern and they wanted the governor to be aware of it. in Mr. Arguello's case, it was an actual, we've censured him, we find the following. Basically, we think you ought to do something, if I remember it correctly. Really two different things.
To answer your question, they were not legal charges against me at all.
No, they were, and I'm going to leave you with a parting thing, guys. I really would hope the next meeting, I'll ask you to declare an emergency and repeal that stupid rule that sets every board member up for a political attack under the guise that a rule's violated, and mandates that the lawyer has to send it for an investigation. So I'll talk about more of that at the next meeting, but I don't think it would be appropriate to send a letter to the governor that in any way offered an opinion on this particular matter that we thought there was or was not culpability. And I wouldn't be a party to that. I would tell you that would
There's
be.
two letters that were requested to be sent.
Right.
And one of them did have a investigation, by the way, so should the investigation to that be attached to the letter?
If, whatever board members want me to attach, I'll attach. Let me say it that way, and that gives him a background. I think it's appropriate. I'll put it in the letter in a way that makes it relevant. I know what Mr. Arguello is referring to because I was there. But as to Mr. Melendez, my understanding is all you did was want to report this, that it's a concern that's been raised to you in the community. It's not opining that you think there's guilt or innocence in this matter.
Are we all settled? Okay, we're going to recess our meeting and we will end the meeting upstairs.